Well, hello and welcome to the Worlds Report a lot of people have been waiting for. Also, I installed Facecam again, so you can see me, because otherwise I think this report is gonna be long and boring and you just need to see a face, or else you're just gonna get bored, you know. BDCPNE, that's very wrong. Okay, so let's just start by saying this was not the original team I wanted to use for Worlds. I used to run maybe I can just get it from somewhere here, but I used to run the Shadowxation team before Worlds, and I decided to scrap it very close to the event, because I was just, well, I wasn't feeling the best against, like, the mirrors, which I had cleared disadvantage in, because I did not run, yeah, because I did not run Focus Sash Whimsicott, and they could airstream me and one-shot it, but I couldn't airstream them and one-shot their Whimsicott, so it was just kind of iffy. I really liked my bulky Charm Light Screen Whimsicott, but, well... And also I had ran like super slow Shadowx with bulk. A lot of people were running bulky Shadowx, but I was running like super bulky Shadowx, which meant they outsped me, and then they started like... I started seeing some kind of Shadowx side teams like the Blastoise Shadowx team, which I thought was forgotten, but it was spammed like crazy before the tournament now, and I was like, okay, I can't be Focus Sash Shadowx at all. And do I want to run? Like, do I want to get into the tournament with this in mind? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Focus Sash Shadowx won the tournament, and it was variant of the Whimsicott Shadowx. And Zacian and Thundurus, whatever. So I think I made a pretty good choice by switching the team. So, what was the inspiration? Well, the first inspiration was like, I actually think I got the original team here. Let me search. Let me search for term troll. And let's see if I, tilt. Let's try tilt. Tilt team. No, actually, let's search for Azelf, because that was the... Yes, this was the team, by the way. Yeah, it doesn't look that serious, so I decided to just say, okay, let's make a more serious team, and let's just do it, okay? This team, yeah, it had Arcanon, which I used, like... I also used quite a lot during the preparation, but like, if the team switch was last minute, the switch to Landorus was last minute from Arcanon, and I think I made a very good choice. Other than that, you see, this like... yeah, this team was kind of weird, you know? This isn't the exact past day, Walker Past, but I decided to just inspire this, especially the skill swap Azelf. I thought was a bit silly, so I really wanted to change that up, and this was the result. So let's go individual member one by one, and let's see how it went. So, Dialga was definitely kind of like the Pokemon this was really the pillar of the team. Without Dialga, I think I would not have gone really that far. Any other Pokemon like Kyogre as a kind of a special sweeper would not have done the job. You needed Dialga. So what did Dialga do? Rockfall with Life Orb allowed me not to only... a lot of people would think, okay, that's for Charizard, but the real purpose was to just one-shot Incineroar with Sugar Berry, and I one-shotted that very often. In fact, max special defense, turn 52, Careful Nature, I had 56% one-shot, yet Eric Rios survived the roll and Sandstorm Ship as well, so that was super unlucky. But again, if I would go in detail with that match, I crit his Charizard, True Light Screen, and Parting Shot with Rockfall. And that Charizard was weakness policy, and I just crit him and one-shotted him. Good game, boys. Great game design, Game Freak. Anyway, so this was killing the Charizard was a bonus. I needed Flash Cannon. I was experimenting like, okay, we don't need Flash Cannon, let's get Thunder. But then I just don't one-shot Grimmsnarl, and one-shotted Grimmsnarl is just like absolute necessity. It's super good, alright? So, I wanted to just have Flash Cannon. Earth Power, I needed for Ferrothorn to just increase the special defense, because, spoiler alert, Ferrothorn does not check Kyogre in this meta, because Max Geyser does 60 to 70%. So Max Quake is a necessity to increase its special defense enough, so I take the Max Geysers with like 40-30%, and then I can Leech Seed, and it's like, then things go a lot more smoothly. And Roar of Time just for that one big nuke. Also it eased up predictions. So for example, if I had like Incineroar and Groudon in the bag, and like I had to choose between like Rockfall and Max Steel Spike, I could just go for Max Dragon and just hit both of these Pokemon for big damage. The EV spread, in retrospective, I should have run something like this. Yeah, I should have run something like this. Max speed would allow me to at least outspeed as many Kygers as possible. There were a lot of bulky Kygers at Worlds, so I should have just outsped them in a Max Quake Ferrothorn plus on a switch in. Because one of the biggest problems with this team was them leading something like Incineroar plus Geiger and faking out my Eerie Impulse Thundurus stun one, and I could not exactly switch to Ferrothorn because Max Geyser would have done 70%, so I would have appreciated to outspeed the Geiger and just get a Max Quake plus special defense boost before the Geyser would hit, but with this I believe I survived 2 Sacred Swords with a 1 Life Orb chip, so that was the origin of the CV spread. Yeah, that's that. So let's go into my second restricted, which might have not been restricted as well, because I used it for 2 matchups. Lunala Sun, which I think I Dynamax Yveltal there, because, well, there wasn't a very hospitable environment for Dialga if they just Sleep Powders were flying around and Groudon going for Max Quake and like, So I wanted to use like Dynamax Yveltal there, but other purpose was to one-shot a Shadowx, bulky Shadowx after Intimidate, which was only accomplishable with Serious Nature. So yes, I'm definitely gonna put this in thumbnail, alright? This is a Serious Nature Yveltal. What's it doing? Well, I didn't want to drop speed, so I got like good max Airstreams, and as well, I just want to outspeed like super slow Geigers. I want to outspeed Groudon and Foul Blade before it goes for Rock Tomb or Stone Edge, so I couldn't drop speed. I'm Assault Vested, so I didn't want to drop special defense. I needed defense, so I just take Flare Offs and Beam Blades better from Zacian. I needed the attack, so I can get the breakpoint on the Sucker Punch, with the Sucker Punch against bulky Shadowx, because if they ran the standard Shadowx spread, which allowed them to take Behemoth Blade, guaranteed from Zacian, and they intimidated me, I still had 93% one-shot with the Sucker Punch, so I needed the neutral nature on the attack. Also, I could have just went for Max Darkness from physical full place. And then I didn't want to drop my special attack because I wanted to one-shot Urshifu if they want, like, so they could not just go for like Wicked Blows freely against my team or Surging Strikes or Close Combat. I wanted to just one-shot Urshifu with the Oblivion Wing without a special defense drop. So yeah, I needed all these stats, and I couldn't drop HP, of course, so I needed all these stats, so the only logical choice was to just pick Serious Nature. And I did, and it worked miraculously, so I'm proud of choosing this. So yeah, that was literally the Yveltal's job. It was not used very often in any other matchup. Other matchups are much more easily piloted with Gyarados' coverage moves, so let's add Landorus and Ferrothorn for late game Geiger matchup, and Thundurus for early Geiger matchup, and I wanted to Intimidate to weaken the Zacian, so we'll get to that strategy later. So look at that. Now let me just do this. Okay, look at that. Gyarados without bounds? What are you doing, David? Well, basically I would never Dynamax Gyarados and go for Airstream. The maxing Dialga is much better, or even situationally Dynamaxing Yveltal. I did Dynamax Gyarados once, but I was just so I can just get Max Rockfall off against the opponent's Charizard. So yeah, I wanted as much attack as possible, so Stone Edge hits Charizard as hard as possible, Waterfall hits Incineroar as hard as possible, and Power Whip hits Geiger as hard as possible, and I would outspeed the bulky Geigers anyways with this much speed investment, so it didn't matter. Also, Power Whip plus Stone Edge was immensely annoying against opponent's Sun. because like they could not go for Charizard because I could Stone Edge it. Excuse me. And they could not go with Gastrodon because I could Power Up them. Same applies for Groudon, even in Sun I could Power Up them. The coverage on this thing was just amazing, and Protect also just surprise element because they see Power Up and Stone Edge and they're like, okay, Waterfall, Bounce, Assault Vest. Am I right? Well, no. I still have Protect, I just don't have Bounce. And if you're wondering what the Charti Berry is for, it's for easing up predictions against something like Landorus. If Landorus, for example, is up against Dialga, and it's like, okay, I wonder what they will switch into, Yveltal or Gyarados, of course. So I should go for Rockfall, right? Because the prediction is so obvious, and I agree with them, it's very obvious. So if I switch to Gyarados, and they predict the switch in, I still got Charti Berry and room for additional Protect next turn, so I waste 2 turns of, pretty much all 3 turns of the Landorus Dynamax, just so they can KO Gyarados, and I'm okay with that. Then I bring in my own Dialga, and I just kinda win, because they already wasted their Dynamax. So this is what Charti Berry was for. And Intimidate, of course. With Intimidate, I can weaken out Zacian, which was useful against both Sun and Rain. So Landorus with Choice Band, Adamant Nature, so I hit Zacian as hard as possible, because spoiler alert, you do not one-shot Zacian with Jolly Earthquake with Choice Band. If they are bulky, that is, but it's still absurd. What more would they want? You know? But Zacian is just a better Pokemon, I'm sorry. How could I have forgotten? It's just a better Pokemon. Alright, so Intimidate, of course, Earthquake for hitting Incineroars. It was also amazing in closing down Groudon late games, of course, because they could not really hit me that hard. Rock Slide was for spread rock damage, and Stone Edge was just basically for Charizard, and like, if I want to KO some big flying type like Yveltal, or Landorus, or Charizard, I just want to go for Choice Band Stone Edge, but sometimes I just want to hit like Thundurus plus the other target for like chip damage, so I just go for Rock Slide. So this is why I have both of these moves, and U-turn was just for repositioning, just perfect move, just really good move. Also it won 2 shots, Categorize Ice Rider, so that's pretty good. Also, what's this EV spread for? Well, because Shadowrex was very bulky before the tournament, or by running a lot of bulky spreads, I wanted to survive single target Choice Specs Astral Brush. So for example, if the Zacian KOs my ally, and then Shadowrex goes for single target Astral Brush, I just want to live that. So yeah, this is what the EV spread is for minimum investment to survive that. And now for the last 2 slots. So Thundurus was just amazing. Eerie Impulsing the characters effortlessly, and it just made things a lot easier. Also, Taunt was amazing for Venusaurs. Unless they let Incineroar Venusaur, which was kind of a problem with this team. If they lead like Fake Out plus like a problem that Thundurus is supposed to solve, I kind of lose. But I just kind of dodged. I didn't dodge Sleep Powders. I think I lost like at least 2 games to just Sleep Powder winning, but I managed to just get pretty far into the tournament, even with this being a problem, so I guess it's not that much of a problem. Sitrus Berry was just no brainer. I just want like Thundurus, Prankster Thundurus, ever since like its beginning in Generation 5, always wants to run Sitrus Berry. It's just, it increases its bulk by that tiny amount with large consistency, so it survives additional hits. It just works. I just can't explain that. Thunderbolt, of course. I wanted to run like I wanted to run something weird, like no. Oh, that was Whimsicott, but which I didn't want to run like a attacking move. Okay, so Thunderbolt was always on this Thundurus' moveset. Thunderbolt is just great for putting out chip damage, and of course hitting water types for super effective damage. Scary Face instead of Thunder Wave. What was the idea behind it? Well, the idea was that if I Intimidate, for example, White Herb Landorus on a switch-in, I remove its White Herb and then I can go for Scary Face, and it's very consistent this way. Also, I can Scary Face Lamberry Charizard for safe Scary Facing. Basically, it was just better in every other situation that was not a... full power chance was nice, but I do remember it was used in larger amount of scenarios as well. but I can't quite remember. But Scary Face was just, if you want to run this team and want to adapt to Thunder Wave, run Scary Face, please run it. In my test games, it was just invaluable instead of Thunder Wave. Alright, Eerie Impulse was basically for Geiger and Dialga mirrors, and Taunt was just, I mean, for Porygon 2 mainly, but it was just not the main counteraction to Porygon 2, of course. And it was just for Venusaur as well. Trick Room was not a problem because I got Ferrothorn. This was my late game check to Geiger. So if Thundurus was my early game check, Ferrothorn was my late game check against the Geiger. So I would, for example, just Thundurus would do its job, and then like I would Dynamax Dialga, get a special defense boost onto the Ferrothorn so it can take Max Geysers efficiently. And then my alternative game plan was to switch between Gyarados and Landorus to Intimidation so its Sacred Swords don't do as much damage to the Ferrothorn. And they did that very well. Zation was just like, after, if it was neutral, Sacred Sword did only like 50%, which I can work with. With Leech Seed on both targets, 36, I healed 36% every turn. Also, Zation got higher base HP than Ferrothorn because I could have forgotten. Zation is meant to be a better Pokemon, so I guess it just has more HP, so I recover actually more percent than like 12%. I recovered like 13 to 14%. Body Press versus Iron Defense was just kind of a no-brainer next to Leech Seed set. And also allowed me to check Incineroar a lot better, and also most importantly it allowed me to beat Porygon 2. So yeah, Iron Defense plus Body Press was also very good against Porygon 2. Also Leech Seed and Iron Barbs were amazing against Shedinja. Surprise surprise, they go for Shadow Sneak, Iron Barbs just one-shot them. And Leech Seed goes through the Endure, so basically a lot of Shedinja were running Endure in this tournament. Because if they had Focus Sash and the opponent used a max move against the Shedinja, it did not consume the Focus Sash. Which is just amazing, right? So it can just like basically still add like Dynamaxes, basically still add Dynamaxes on its own. But it made it weak against Leech Seed, which I exploited greatly at Worlds. So yeah. That was basically the idea. So against Sun, you would still go Dialga Thundurus. Usually you just want the Eerie Impulse the Charizard Tonemon and Steel Spike the Grimmsnarl. Usually the Charizard just switches to a Groudon to take the Rockfall. I mean, you don't waste anything by going for Eerie Impulse, even if they stay in and switch to Groudon with second slot. I Eerie Impulse, which makes me survive the G-Max Wildfire on both of Thundurus and Dialga on the lead. Actually, I'm sorry if it's too confusing, but just Eerie if you see Charizard Grimmsnarl lead, just smack the Grimmsnarl slot with Steel Spike regardless if it's Grimmsnarl or Groudon, and Eerie Impulse the Charizard slot, because even if they switch to Groudon, it's like, I don't care. I KO your Grimmsnarl, I'm satisfied. So yeah, that was the idea. Crippling Charizard and Geiger's on the leads. Also taunting the Venusaur, of course, absolutely invaluable. And Gyarados was used actually against Sun matchup. You want to use Dialga Thundurus, Gyarados Landorus. With like 3 rock moves on your team, very strong rock moves, you should be able to check the Charizard, and you should be able to check Groudon and Zacian with the double Intimidate. So yeah, that's the game plan. Against the Rain, usually you want to use Dialga Thundurus, and then pick Gyarados or Landorus based on like your preference, maybe like based on the game you are in. You can change between these and they basically do the same job. I think Landorus even does better job against the Rain, if I'm gonna be honest, because it just smacks Geiger harder. I mean, as hard as Power Whip, and it hits like Zacian as well. And again, U-turn to just confuse the opponent. You know, it's just pretty good check. And also always bring, of course, Ferrothorn. And don't forget to just get the max Quake Boost on it, because otherwise you just won't take the max Geysers well enough. So, yeah. And against like the Shedrex, you want to use like Dialga Thundurus again and have Yveltal and Landorus in the back. Sucker Punch deals with Shedrex, Earthquake deals with Zacian, and Thundurus in the back, you know. And Steel Spike plus a Yveltal switch is also pretty good, because it allows your Yveltal to take player-offs and max Lightnings much better. Against Sun Lunala, you want to use Pearly Dialga plus Thundurus again to just beat the Venusaur on the lead, and Landorus Yveltal again to beat the Lunala and Groudon in the back. I think I went over all the matchups. Against Hyper Offense, you also use like Yveltal for Sucker Punches, because they usually got like Shedrex. Snarl, if they set up like Psychic Terrain against Snarl as well, which is just good, you know. And with that, I think I told you everything about the team. I'm not sure if I want to go in detail how the tournament went. Basically, day 1, I won 5-1, hexed out Battle Room in round 7, which I'm not really proud of. I got Thunderbolt, full para to win the game 2, which allowed me to just not play last round. And day 2, I hexed out a bunch of the Rinnia Sun users with like Charizard, Groudon, Zacian, Incineroar, Grimmsnarl, Gastron. I crit through their screens very often, but you know, I guess that's how luck works. I got unlucky at a lot of tournaments, and I finally I got lucky. So this allowed me to, with 6-1 record, day 2 immediately pass the top 16, which I screwed up by not going for Steel Spike plus switch to Yveltal against a Shadowxation team. But that's how it goes. I guess that's just how it goes. Just make mistakes, you're human. And that's probably the tournament report in 2 minutes. So that's that. Hopefully you enjoyed this team report, and I'll catch you whenever I'll have time, because school starts for me next week, so we'll see how the Metagame Mondays goes. I might do like Spike Month Cup, Metagame Mondays in my free time. We'll see. I'm rather going to be preparing for Scarlet and Violet mentally, you know. So yeah, that's probably my plan. So yeah, okay. I'll catch you next time. Hopefully you enjoyed. Goodbye.